Have you ever stepped into a crowded place and suddenly felt your entire body tighten, as though the air itself had grown heavier, carrying emotions that didn't belong to you, pressing against your skin like invisible waves? It's a strange sensation, isn't it? Where the room looks normal, people are laughing, talking, moving, yet beneath the surface you feel something sharp, something unseen, almost like static electricity crawling along your skin. Maybe others have told you that you're just too shy. Maybe they've called you antisocial or said you're overthinking, too sensitive for your own good. But deep down, you know it's not as simple as that, because what you feel in those moments is not weakness, and it is not brokenness. It is awareness. It is your soul responding to what the eyes cannot see. You are not withdrawing from the world because you fear it. You are pulling away because a deeper part of you recognizes the noise, the chaos, the restless energy that swirls in every direction, and you simply cannot ignore it anymore. What if every time you avoided a crowded street, every time you felt drained after a busy gathering, it wasn't a flaw at all, but a sign that your spirit is awakening to something sacred? What if this feeling you've carried for years, this tension in your chest whenever you are surrounded by too many voices, is not something to be ashamed of, but proof that you are moving closer to your true essence? Imagine for a moment that the discomfort you feel is not isolation, but initiation. The way a seed must break apart in the dark soil before it can rise toward the light. Maybe, just maybe, you avoid crowds not because you are broken, but because your soul has begun to hear a different music, a sacred rhythm that only plays in silence and stillness. And if that is true, then the part of you that resists the noise, the part of you that craves solitude, is not your enemy. It is your guide, gently reminding you that your path has never been meant to look like everyone else's. 1. Energetic sensitivity. Some people walk into a room and all they notice are the words being spoken, the faces, the movements. But for you, it has always been different, because you don't just hear voices. You don't just see expressions. You feel the entire atmosphere. In your body, as though the air itself carries emotions that sink directly into your heart. When someone laughs, you don't just hear the sound. You sense whether the laughter is real or forced, whether it springs from joy or hides sorrow. And when someone frowns, you don't only see the face. You feel a weight inside your own chest, as if their sadness has quietly taken a seat within. Being in a crowd for you is like standing beneath dozens, sometimes hundreds of invisible radio signals, each one carrying its own frequency, its own mood, its own vibration, all colliding in the same space, pouring into your nervous system, until you feel like your skin cannot hold anymore. And in those moments, you walk away exhausted, not because you dislike people, not because you are cold or distant, but because you have carried too much. You have absorbed too much, and your energy has been scattered like dust in the wind. Many will tell you that this sensitivity is a curse, that it makes life harder, that it makes you weak, but the truth is the opposite. This sensitivity is your compass, your inner guidance, a sacred gift that allows you to sense truth where others only see surfaces. Because while others can walk through life ignoring the unseen, you are chosen to feel what lies beneath. You are invited to live with awareness, and that awareness may feel heavy at times, but it is also the doorway to wisdom, compassion, and awakening. Every time you sense what cannot be spoken, every time you absorb what others try to hide, every time your body trembles with the weight of invisible emotions, you are reminded that your role is not to drown in these energies, but to learn how to honor your inner peace while still seeing the truth. Sensitivity is not weakness. It is perception sharpened into clarity. It is the heart tuned to the hidden music of the world. It is the gift of seeing not just the masks people wear, but the soul behind the mask. And the question is not whether this gift makes life harder. The real question is whether you will allow it to guide you toward the sanctuary of your own inner peace, toward the recognition that what drains you is also what awakens you. 2. Seeing beyond illusion. There comes a time when you enter a room full of people, and while everyone is laughing, talking, and exchanging stories, you notice something that most eyes overlook. To you, the air is not filled with joy, but with unspoken weight, as if behind each laugh hides an echo of loneliness. And behind each gesture rests a story untold. The small talk, the casual phrases, the "how are you?" followed by the automatic "I'm fine," feels strangely hollow, like a song sung without a soul. You hear the rhythm, but you know the melody isn't true. Your soul can no longer be fooled by repetition. You sense the gap between what is said and what is truly felt. You look around and notice how smiles sometimes stretch across faces like fragile masks, painted with perfection, yet their eyes betray them. The eyes whisper of fatigue, of longing, of battles fought in silence. And it's in that moment you realize, no mask, no performance can hide from your deeper vision. It is not that you dislike people, not that you withdraw out of disdain. In fact, it is quite the opposite. You care so deeply that your soul aches when you see the truth behind the illusion. But once you have seen the veil for what it is, you cannot unsee it. The curtain has been lifted forever. There are moments when this clarity feels like a burden, like you are standing on a shore watching others swim joyfully in waters that you know are shallow, but they believe to be deep. You feel the distance, the space that separates you, not because you chose it, but because truth itself has drawn the line. Yet at the same time, this very clarity is your liberation. Because when you no longer chase the illusions, when you no longer try to drink from cups that hold only sand, you are free. You no longer feel the need to keep pretending. Your soul breathes in the air of honesty, and that breath tastes of eternity. Have you noticed how this vision sometimes isolates you, but also quietly empowers you? You walk alone at times, but the path you walk is lined with truth, and that truth becomes your companion. You feel the loneliness, yes, but also the vastness, as though the whole universe keeps you company in silence. And maybe that is the gift hidden inside the isolation. To see with clarity is to belong less to the noise of the world and more to the silence of the soul. And in that silence, you find not emptiness, but fullness. A fullness born from seeing beyond the illusions, from touching the eternal beneath the surface. 3. Protecting your energy. Imagine yourself walking through the world like a person wearing a pure white shirt. A shirt so bright and untouched that it feels almost fragile. And then suddenly you find yourself stepping into a battlefield of colors where paint is flying everywhere. And by the time you walk out, your once clean shirt is covered with stains that you never asked for. Stains that were thrown onto you by forces outside of your control. That is what it feels like to be someone spiritually awake. Someone who senses the invisible energies of the world when you walk into crowds, into busy spaces, into conversations filled with noise. You leave carrying fragments of emotions that were never yours to begin with. One person's hidden anger seeps into your chest as if it were your own heartbeat. Another person's anxiety clings to your skin like dust, and you begin to realize that what weighs you down is not always born from within you, but collected from the world outside. And this is why solitude becomes sacred. Not a punishment, not loneliness, but a return to your own center. A place where you can finally wash off what does not belong to you and remember who you truly are without the noise of others pressing against your spirit. When you step away into stillness, it feels like walking into a sanctuary, a temple built without walls, where silence itself protects you like armor and nothing from the outside can stain the white shirt of your soul. But many of us feel guilty for taking that time. as if protecting our own energy is selfish, as if we owe the world constant access to our heart. And yet, what happens to a candle that never shields its flame from the wind? It burns out too quickly. Protecting your energy is not rejection of others. It is an act of love, because when you preserve your own light, you can return to the world not drained and fragile, but radiant and steady, able to shine without flickering. Ask yourself this: do you allow yourself that sacred protection without guilt? Or do you still believe that being open means letting the world throw its paint upon you until you no longer see the original color of your own spirit? To walk this path of awakening is to learn the balance, to open your heart wide enough to feel, but also wise enough to know when to step back, when to cleanse, and when to simply sit in the vast silence that restores your spirit back to clarity. And maybe the next time you find yourself overwhelmed by the heaviness that isn't yours, you will remember the image of that white shirt, and instead of carrying the stains as your own, you will step into solitude, into silence, and allow the bios, sacred waters of stillness, to wash you clean again. 4. Different frequency. Think of life as a grand symphony, a vast orchestra where countless instruments play together, creating a sound that fills the world with noise, with rhythm, with repetition. Most of the world plays in the same rhythm, repeating the same notes, following the same conductor, moving together in patterns that feel safe but also predictable. Yet inside you, there is a quieter song, a deeper melody, a frequency that does not align with the surface noise of the world, but moves like an ancient river beneath it all. Your heart beats to a different rhythm, one that cannot be forced into conformity, one that does not bow to the world's noisy orchestra. This is why small talk and meaningless chatter feel exhausting, as though your spirit is being forced to play notes that were never meant for you. You are not out of tune. You are not broken. You are simply tuned to a deeper frequency that only a few can hear and even fewer can understand. Solitude does not suffocate you, because solitude is where your frequency can be heard most clearly, where the noise of the world dissolves and your true music begins to rise. Do you see it now? Your solitude is not loneliness, but alignment, a coming home to the song you were always meant to play. The world may never fully understand your rhythm, but you were not born to blend in. You were born to carry a rare vibration, a song that heals, that awakens, that resonates beyond the ordinary. And when you finally accept this truth, the exhaustion fades, and in its place rises a deep peace, because you realize you were never meant to match the noise. You were meant to reveal the silence hidden beneath it. The world's orchestra may be loud, but your song, your frequency, will always echo further, because it is born not of noise, but of eternity. 5. Resistance to low vibrations. There are moments when you walk into a room and suddenly feel a weight pressing on your chest, though no one has touched you. And in that instant, you realize it is not the air, but the energy that surrounds you. You hear the sharp tones of gossip, the sting of judgment, or the clash of conflict. And even before your mind can fully register the words, your body responds with a quiet tightening, as if whispering, "This does not belong here." This resistance is not arrogance, nor is it intolerance, but rather a deeper wisdom of your being, like the way a flower closes its petals at night, not out of rejection, but out of pure alignment with the rhythm of life. Your higher self knows where your spirit can breathe and where it will suffocate. And so when you feel discomfort in the presence of negativity, perhaps it is not weakness, but the strongest protection you carry within. Imagine for a moment that your soul is like a delicate harp, and every environment plays upon its strings. When you are in harmony, the music is soft and beautiful. But when negativity arrives, the notes turn dissonant, and your whole being recoils. In that recoil, in that silent retreat, you are not losing connection with others. You are preserving the sanctity of your own energy, refusing to allow heavy vibrations to settle into your heart. Just as you would not drink from poisoned water, even if others insisted it was fine, your spirit rejects the toxins of gossip, of hate, of judgment, because deep down you know they cloud the purity of your light. This is why solitude often feels like a sanctuary, because in silence you can breathe freely. You can return to the melody of your own soul without interference. And when you step away from low vibrations, you are not abandoning the world. You are teaching it silently that peace is possible. That presence is more powerful than noise. Ask yourself, the next time you feel drained by negativity, is this discomfort really a burden, or is it the gentle hand of your higher self guiding you back to where your soul belongs? In this way, resistance becomes not rejection, but love. Love for your soul, love for your light, and love for the sacred path you are walking. 6. Sacred mission. Every soul is born carrying a sacred spark, a light hidden so deeply within that most spend lifetimes searching for it, while others feel its quiet weight from the very beginning. Some people are not called to walk loudly in the world, but to guard their silence as if it were a temple, because within that silence something holy is taking root on. Your longing for solitude is not a weakness. It is the soil in which your purpose is planted, waiting for the right season to rise. The world may not understand why you pull away from its noise, why you refuse to rush, why you avoid the endless chatter. But your spirit knows, because it is listening to a rhythm that no one else can hear, like a seed that disappears beneath the earth. You too vanish from sight, but in that hiddenness, something miraculous is preparing itself. Could it be that your solitude is not a delay, but a consecration, a sacred time where the universe kneels beside you, whispering secrets too delicate for the noise of the world? Think of the caterpillar that must enter its cocoon, not to escape life, but to dissolve, to be remade, to awaken as something it has never been before. In the same way, your withdrawal is not abandonment of the world. It is the preparation of wings that will one day carry your mission into places you cannot yet imagine. Perhaps your life has been slowed down on purpose, as if unseen hands are shielding you from rushing ahead, so that your roots can grow deep before your branches touch the sky. When you feel lonely, remember, even the seed in darkness is surrounded by the warmth of the earth. And even in silence, the universe is breathing with you. Your sacred mission will not come with fanfare, but with quiet certainty, like dawn breaking. After the long night, unstoppable, gentle, and full of light. And when that moment arrives, when the sea breaks open and your spirit begins to bloom, you will know that all the silence, all the solitude, all the waiting was never emptiness. It was consecration. You will look back and realize that what you thought was delay was actually protection. What you thought was isolation was actually preparation. And what you thought was emptiness was actually fullness waiting to be revealed. So honor your solitude, treat it as sacred ground, for within its stillness your mission is being written. And one day it will be read by the stars themselves. 7. The gift of solitude. Solitude is not loneliness. It is a sacred gift, a doorway that opens only when you are brave enough to sit quietly with yourself. The world tells you that you must always be connected, always speaking, always performing. But the Spirit whispers that true connection begins in silence, not in solitude. You do not escape life. You return to it more fully, because you are no longer lost in the noise of other voices. Imagine a temple without walls, a temple built not of stone but of quiet, where every breath becomes a prayer and every heartbeat a chant. Solitude is medicine, because it cleanses the heart of the dust of busyness. It washes the mind of the restless chatter. It heals the soul of distractions. Have you ever noticed how in solitude, thoughts that were blurry become clear, and truths that were hidden rise gently to the surface? It is in solitude that you learn the difference between the voice of fear and the whisper of wisdom. In the stillness of being alone, you begin to see that the answers you were chasing outside were always waiting quietly inside you. Solitude is not the absence of love, but the deep presence of love. Love for yourself, love for existence, love for the silence that embraces you. Think of solitude as a friend who never judges, who never interrupts, who only listens, and in that listening, you finally hear yourself. The mind resists solitude because it fears silence, but the soul longs for it, because in silence, the soul remembers who it really is. If you can embrace solitude, you will never feel truly alone again, because you will discover the eternal presence that walks with you always. Solitude is not a punishment, it is a homecoming. It is the sacred teacher reminding you that you are whole, even when no one is watching. Have you embraced solitude as your sacred teacher, or do you still run from its gentle invitation? If you dare to sit in that quiet temple within, you will discover not emptiness but fullness, not silence but music, not isolation but belonging. Solitude is the place where you finally realize you are never truly separate from the universe. You are always one with it. 8. How to navigate crowds. Sometimes life will call you into the crowd, into the places where noise, movement, and restless energy collide. And in those moments, you may feel like your own inner rhythm is being drowned by the weight of the world around you. In such spaces, remember this simple truth. Your breath is not just air moving in and out of your body. Your breath is your anchor, the invisible thread that ties you back to yourself when everything outside tries to pull you away. Each inhale is an arrival, a gentle homecoming, whispering to you, I am here, I am alive, I belong to this moment. Each exhale is a release, a surrender, a quiet offering back to the world of all that you do not need to carry. Like smoke dissolving into the open sky, vanishing as if it never belonged to you. And with every cycle of breath, you are reminded that you are not powerless in the crowd. You are not swallowed by the noise. You are the still point, the calm within the storm. Imagine yourself walking through a crowded marketplace, voices overlapping, footsteps rushing, colors blurring. And yet, inside, you carry a silence so vast that no sound can disturb it. This silence is not about shutting the world out, but about knowing how to stay rooted while the world moves around you. Like a tree that does not run from the wind, but lets its branches dance while its roots remain unshaken. And when you learn to walk like this, you begin to see that the crowd is no longer a threat. It becomes a river, and you, instead of drowning, become like a stone resting peacefully at the bottom, untouched by the surface waves. What would happen if you carried this practice with you everywhere? Into the workplace, into family gatherings, into the subway or the busy streets. Would the noise still disturb you? Or would it begin to feel like the background music of your own inner temple? Each moment then becomes a training ground, not for escaping life, but for walking inside it with a heart that cannot be shaken, a mind that cannot be stolen, and a breath that forever leads you back home. And so, the next time life asks you to enter the crowd, remember that the crowd cannot take away what is already rooted within you. The breath, steady and faithful, will always return you to the center of your being. You are not lost in the noise. You are the witness, the quiet traveler, moving through life not as someone swallowed by it, but as someone who carries an inner sanctuary that no crowd can touch. So if you've always felt uncomfortable in crowds, if you've often wondered why the noise of many voices leaves you weary while others seem to thrive in it, let this be your gentle reminder that there is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not less than others. You are not strange for seeking silence when the world worships noise. You are not antisocial, for your heart longs not for isolation but for truth, for depth, for connection that is real and alive. You are awakening, an awakening always feels uncomfortable at first, because the eyes that open to deeper truth can no longer pretend that shadows are the light. Your sensitivity is not your weakness. It is the living proof of your deeper purpose. It is the compass guiding you to the spaces, the people, and the callings that resonate with your soul's highest song. And maybe, just maybe, the very thing you once judged about yourself is the very gift the world is waiting for you to embrace. If this message has touched something in you, if it has stirred the quiet places of your heart, then I invite you to share your experience in the comments below. Because you may not realize this, but your story, no matter how small it feels to you, might be the very light someone else is praying for in their darkest night. And if you feel called to continue walking this path of awakening with me, then remember to like, to subscribe, and to stay connected. Because even though our journeys are deeply personal, they are never meant to be walked alone. In truth, your solitude is not your weakness. It is your temple, your sanctuary, the sacred ground where your soul learns to breathe, to listen, and to shine without fear. And when you allow yourself to shine from that sacred place, you do not need to seek the crowd's approval. For your light itself will call forth those who are meant to walk beside you. So trust your path. Honor your solitude, and let your sensitivity be the reminder that you were never meant to simply blend into the noise. You were meant to become the music, the light, the sanctuary that the world quietly longs for.